Kanika and welcome back to my corner. This is the space where I talk about various mental health issues, and today I'm going to be talking about polycystic ovaries from a patient's perspective. And the reason I put it into this mental health space corner is that there is so much of stress and other things that we put ourselves under while going through this, that to me it felt like it is also a mental health issue. Polycystic ovaries or PCOS, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome as it is also known as, can affect about a quarter of women in India, and sometimes it is known, sometimes not. Some of the symptoms may range from hirsutism, having irregular periods, having facial hair, having lack of hair on the head, having acne, to having trouble getting pregnant, to having gestational diabetes or diabetes during pregnancy, or to even developing diabetes early on in life, in your 30s and 40s. So for some women who don't have any of these symptoms, they may not even register that they have PCOS. But for those like me who have had these symptoms for a long time, we know that we are having some troubles. I started my periods at a very young age. I was only 9.5 when they started, and I was one little roly-poly chubby thing. So they were very irregular initially, coming only once in every few months. But by the time I hit age 11, I had slimmed down a little, I had become very active, and my periods started to come once a month. So through my teen years, I had it coming most of the time once a month. And it was as I hit my mid-20s that they started to come once a month to once in 2 months. That pattern changed. And while that's absolutely okay and something very common in polycystic ovaries, to me that troubled me, because then I would be waiting for my period and saying, is it going to arrive today? Is it going to arrive tomorrow? When is it coming? That used to truly bug me out. Just one of the symptoms of PCOS. I was really fortunate not to have to deal with teenage acne thanks to my family's wonderful skin genes. But I have this wonderful combination that PCOS can give you, which is a lack of hair on the head, but excessive facial hair. It's called male pattern baldness and hirsutism. I had a fairly thick head of hair until I hit my teens, and that's when it started thinning out. And by my mid-20s, I had a very definitive bald patch on my head, and it's just what started happening, and I started to lose more hair every day. So looking good is so important, and physical appearances are really something that we put a lot of shelf on. So I got everything done. I started doing all the home remedies. I put a lot of these serums. I even use these hair serum creams and binders and all of that, and even went to the extent of having a hair transplant. Absolutely no avail. It made no difference to my balding. It continued, and as you can see, I am currently 34 and I do not have a head full of hair. And I can imagine that, in a few years down the line, I'm going to be even balder. And I have reached the stage where I'm now able to accept it. But it's been a really long journey. I fell to society's pressures of looking good, your hair is the first thing that people see, and I fell to that pressure. I felt really low about myself and hated the fact that I did not have a head full of hair. But that's when my husband came to the rescue in unconditionally accepting me and not looking into this fact that I have sparse hair, that there are things on top missing. It didn't bother him. And when I started to internalize that and realize, hey, if it's not bothering him and my family accepts it, then what am I worried about? Why am I thinking about what XYZ says? So over time, I've learned to just accept that this is my hair, right? So just, let's try and accept who we are with whatever we look like. right? And this is just a side effect of PCOS, that I have a lack of hair on top, but I will have, hair sprouting out from my chin and upper lip, and I don't always keep an eye on it, so they'll sprout up and sometime I'll remember and I'll just pull them out and then they'll grow back again soon, and at times you just get tired of doing that and I just let it be, and I am accepted for who I am. So I hope that you also, just take that step back and don't worry about how you look. You can't do anything about it. This is something that affects us, and this is just one of the effects of it. So when I talk about hirsutism, I had really hairy, berry legs and lots of hair growing on them. So I had lots of laser treatments to remove them. And unlike a non-PCOS person, it has reduced the amount of hair that grows back, but it has not completely removed it. And to me, actually, I'm quite okay with it. I just didn't like that amount of hair that I had and how itchy it would feel and sweaty it would get. And basically, I felt like I was a man with that quantity of hair. But thanks to our latest technologies and, modern marvels, all of that bit has gone away. It was after getting married that I started to put on weight. A lot of people will turn around and say, I'm not getting my periods, therefore I'm putting on weight, because they feel like, all this blood is collecting inside them. The truth of the matter is that when you put on weight, your hormones go wacky, they go all haywire, and that causes irregular periods, right? It's not the other way around. It's because we put on weight, and especially in that first year of marriage, right? You're cooking to the best of your ability, you're being wined and dined everywhere, you're going out to the best restaurants, you're trying out different food, you're eating out more often than you otherwise would have. Naturally, you put on weight. And I put on 8 kgs in those first 2 years without even realizing it. So what was the effect of that? Irregular periods. So, my periods from coming once a month started coming once in 1 month, once in 3 months, whenever it wanted. All because I had put on weight and my hormones were out of balance. The main symptom of my PCOS was that we had trouble getting pregnant. Irregular periods means that, you do not regularly ovulate, and therefore it's difficult to get pregnant. So what we first started doing was that my mother would check as to when we were going to ovulate, when I was going to ovulate, and then we would try naturally. When that didn't work for a few months, we then moved on to the next step, which was, being stimulated to ovulation, so that we would know, okay, I am going to ovulate properly this time. And then we would try. When that still didn't work, the next step was intrauterine inseminations. And that didn't work either. So, we'd had a few years of trying all of these various things out, which is when we moved on to in vitro fertilization. So through all of this, I worked really hard at losing weight, because that's a cornerstone of, my mother's fertility treatments. And so I rebalanced my meals, I started working out more regularly, and I got to say it was absolutely frustrating, because the weight would remain where it was or come down really slowly, but inches went down. And that was what motivated me, because it's the waist-hip ratio that will keep us, that is a good indicator for fertility treatment. So, losing that weight around my waist and hip and abdomen and all of that started to make a big difference. So after 2 rounds of in vitro fertilization that we had here in Bangalore, which didn't succeed, we went back to Dubai, where my mother had practiced as a fertility specialist, consulted with her colleagues there, and voila, we have a little baby girl now. More details of my infertility struggles are in the link in the description box below. I now have a 1-year-old girl, and all my PCOS struggles have been so well worth it. To me, it doesn't matter that we went through all of that, I broke my head about trying to get pregnant and going through all those stressors. It's just something that's happened to me. I don't think it's anything earth-shattering. It is just one small aspect of me. It is absolutely not me. As a mother to a girl, I automatically wonder, will my baby girl also have PCOS? But I also know that from my experiences with my mother's knowledge and her access to, the world of medicine, that we will be able to deal with whatever it is that comes. But don't you think as a mother, that's a very natural progression of thoughts to have? Now, having delivered a baby, does it mean that my PCOS has disappeared? Absolutely not. It's here to stay with me. The symptoms may reduce, I may get more regular periods, but that's also because I am exercising quite vigorously. And because of that, for the first time in my life, for 3 months in a row, I've had my periods come on the dot. I talk about the importance of exercise post-delivery in a video that is linked in the description box below. The reason that I will continue to keep an eye on my PCOS is because I have a higher risk for developing diabetes earlier in life. So, making sure that you eat right, stay fit, keep your weight on the lower side, be positive, keeping all of this on track is really important, because if I am going to develop diabetes, I would like to develop it closer to, ages 70, 80, if I'm still alive, rather than, developing it at 40, 50 and then having complications because you're just having diabetes for so much longer in life. So other than this one side effect of PCOS, there's nothing else for me to worry about. It does not dictate my life, This is not something that's going to overshadow everything I do. It's just one tiny little aspect of me, and it is my companion for life. So having said this, if you have PCOS or polycystic ovaries and you're worried about it, just start losing weight. That's the first step, Our optimum weight should be what our height is in inches, -5, and that should be the number of kgs that we should be. The closer we are to it, or even a kg or two lower than it, perfect. Now I'm trying to reach that because I really want to be healthy. And so this little paunch that I have post-delivery, I am working on to reduce it, and the rest of it is happening just by running behind my daughter. So all we have to do about PCOS is lose weight, learn more about it, go to your gynac, do everything that she says, take all the precautions, and don't worry about it. So that's it, folks. With this, I hope that these tips on my experience with PCOS helps you too.